Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. It is our pleasure today to meet with you in MENA Information Security Conference, one of the greatest events in Saudi Arabia. We are glad today to explore the latest updates, probably the latest challenges in cybersecurity and focusing on our region. Also, to have more insights on the approaches, solutions, and services being positioned to have better security posture for organizations and entities in different perspectives. It is exactly the thing that we are going to address today with FireEye Mandiant Solutions across different pillars. My name is Mohammad Flaifel. I'm part of the global services and intelligence team in the region. I have as well with me my colleague Noah Melhem, senior systems engineer. Hello, Noah.
Hello, Mohammed, and hi, everyone. Thanks a lot. I'm also glad to meet with everyone today, again in MENA ISC conference, and I hope you will have a fruitful session with Mohammed and I today.
So our agenda for the day is as the following. We're going to give you more insight on Mandiant Solutions portfolio. First of all, we're going to talk about threat intelligence, which will help enterprises and organizations to have a contextual visibility on the alerts which matters. Second, we're going to speak about Mandiant security validation, which will show you how important it is to validate your cybersecurity controls and how you can achieve that. Finally, we're going to speak about Mandiant Managed Defense, which will combine FireEye powerful technology, expertise, and services to provide our customers with an outstanding managed detection and response solution. So many of our customers tell us that they are wrestling with a series of roadblocks preventing them from driving efficiency, increasing capacity, and reducing complexity in cybersecurity field. In today's world, security leaders needs to be able to do the following. First, to show how each incremental dollar, how much incremental dollar they spend will help reduce business risks for the organization, to maintain the expected level of security in a market where finding and keeping the right resources is tough, to know when the threats have changed and keep up the continuously evolving attackers, and identify where the potential business impacts are increasing. We need to use intelligence to define capabilities, then build them. We need to know how to be predictive, not reactive. We need to build a framework to get ahead of the enemy. We need to know how to maximize current staff and resources where possible. We need to know also how to operationalize and automate security tools. So last year, FireEye has introduced the brand Advantage by Mandiant, which is a SaaS platform providing our customers the ability to consume Mandiant intelligence and expertise regardless of the technologies in their organization. So you can think of Mandiant Advantage as a control agnostic part of FireEye. And while FireEye sells security controls, the goal of Mandiant Advantage is to be able to augment not only FireEye products, but any product that the organization has deployed or any service the organization has been using with our expertise and intelligence. So our first topic of the day will be about threat intelligence and how organization can lead security operation with intelligence. To start with is to show you our uniqueness in FireEye and how we can provide a quality of intelligence to our customers. So our unique differentiator within FireEye is that we are on the front line of the attack. No one else can touch the amount of data we have access to. This is in terms of the depth of information. We have more than 15 years of accumulated data, and in terms of the breadth as well. We have machine intelligence in FireEye coming from our products. We have campaign intelligence contributed by Managed Defense. And finally, we have victim intelligence that Mandiant brings us from the war's most impactful breaches. And in addition to that, our adversary intelligence where we have more than 300 analysts and researchers who speak more than 30 languages in more than 20 countries around the world, solely focused on collecting, analyzing, and publishing threat intelligence. They are responsible for taking raw data from our forefront line and synthesizing it into the intelligence that our customers need to understand and anticipate the evolving threat landscape. So, how do our customers consume the threat intelligence from FireEye? We provide customers with finished intelligence they can use to make strategic, operational, and tactical decisions. It can come in the form of, first, analyst inquiries where customers can ask for clarification on published intelligence, or a deeper dive of information and a customer-focused threat briefing. Our FireEye intelligence portal contains all of our intelligence and finished intel and allows our customers reading a particular report to pivot and do further researches on the threat actors to find out more about their motivations and the methods they use in their attacks. Although different business units within FireEye help in providing intel raw data to us, they also have access to the final processed intelligence to use it in their daily engagements. For example, Mandiant consultants in the field, they perform incident response IR engagements or maybe other engagement for our customers. They do research against our threat intelligence collection to better understand malware they may be dealing with, or maybe tactics, techniques, and procedures they should be looking for when they have associated a piece of malware with a particular threat actor or a group. Another example is our managed defense groups who uses our intel when they perform incident investigation for our clients. Managed defense customers also, they get access to operation intelligence as part of their managed defense subscription. This provides them access to intelligence on actors who might be targeting them and what to be looking for when evaluating alerts within their organization, as well as contextual information that will help them remediate those alerts. Now, putting all this together is a big differentiator stand for FireEye in the cyber threat intelligence market. But the real question, and many of our customers wanted to know, is how we identify and track those attacker groups, how we advance them, and how we give them their final group names. To know more about this, I will ask my colleague Noah to answer this question and give more information on the graduation for the threat actors groups. Please go ahead, Noah.
Thanks a lot, Mohammed. So once we track an activity, we're not only looking to a single vector or a single distribution. We will be looking from different lenses to all different activities in those threat actors. We are able to create much finer grain of view into actual threats and actors behind each and every activity and breach that we see every day. So this is exactly the case with Mandiant Advantage. We're actually giving a customer a frontline seat to this process as it happens. As our consultants engage in breach investigation every day and pulling the data back into our Mandiant Advantage platform, capturing these data into our backend and making it available, as we said, in Mandiant Advantage platform, we are going to store all indicators and TTPs and what we call UNC groups. UNC groups means uncategorized groups. That means that we see a cluster of unknown activities. That's why we create those UNC groups. And over time, those UNC groups tend to be temp groups or malware families based on our findings. So if they are identified as organized groups, they are given a TIM name. As investigation keeps going and we do more and more analysis about these groups, they're turning to be fully fledged groups based on their motivation, either APT or FIN groups. Now, nation-sponsored groups are called APT groups, and financially motivated groups are called FIN groups. Few months back, we have graduated FIN 11 threat actor group that was really helpful and provided a lot more intel out to our customers. Having a new Mandiant advantage provided our customer with such insight details behind the scene where they can utilize and consume this in their security operation. So if we look at the left side here, the color bands represents our different sources for threat intel and how each one contributes in providing a quality of information that we give to our customers as part of Mandiant Advantage. So back into 2017, we have identified malicious activities and encountered malware known as cloudeming, which is basically a modification of admin remote access tools. Such information were actually captured through one of our IR engagements that we had at that time. We were not sure whether this is a malware family or being organized through a group, so UNC 902 was given to them as a name initially. By the time more analysis and investigation was done, and basically using our managed defense operations centers around the globe, we have seen a focus on retail and finance out of this group. Also, using our telemetry, we have seen malware targeting point of sales. So by 2019, it was clear for us that this is basically a group that was active as not only a separate malware family, that was an active group. Hence, a Tim Warlock name was given to them until further investigation. So, as our investigation continued, our operational intel from Managed Defense Data Center found that we have more information about the targeted geographical areas, and our IR team found more malwares that they are using. By that, it was clear for us that they have financial motivation. So the final graduated name, FIN11, was given to them. So this slide, as we see here, is basically a live example about the early knowledge advantage, where during all this time, our customers had an early access to all intel information at different stages of graduation. So this slide, we're going to discuss what we are going to cover through our threat intelligence. So Mandiant Threat Intelligence will address the need for every security team, no matter the size, no matter the budget. Subscriptions will start from freemium package, delivering unrivaled free SaaS-based threat intelligence and built to a comprehensive all-inclusive option. If we look at the freemium subscription, we can see that this kind of subscription will give the teams access to cyber threat intelligence from open source indicators and actors free of charge, where we can, as a customer who's using a freemium subscription, view data via Mandiant Advantage portal, or use our browser plugin, for example, to embed contextualize information and attack insight directly into any web page. And it is, by the way, instantly available upon registration. You can also accelerate the threat detection, the threat investigation, and even the response for the security operation team. When SOC team are struggling with too many alerts and false positives, or when they cannot triage alerts quickly enough, Mandiant Advantage will be able to prioritize, will be able to score, contextualize, filter thousands of alerts that you can help the security team to focus on the threats that are eventually matter to their organization. And of course, we can help enable your vulnerability risk analysts to assess, to prioritize, and communicate the security weak points to the wider IT operation team with Mandiant Advantage Threat Intelligence vulnerability subscription specifically. Your enterprise will get notified of zero-day vulnerabilities and understand which threat actors are likely to exploit each weakness, prompting targeted resolution to reduce the risk of exposure. Digital threat monitoring. Here, we're going to protect assets beyond the parameter of the customer. With this subscription, we'll be able to combat risks such as leaked credentials, sensitive data, negative publicity, or personal identifiable information, which could eventually be used by the attacker. We are going to alert the key stakeholders and teams to limit the potential damage and prevent attacks by fixing any outward-facing exposures, where we will be able to provide a comprehensive visibility into the dark web and the dark web activities to be proactive and reduce the risk in a cost-effective way. And by the way, we use, for example, a customized keyword-driven dark web monitoring that is pretty much scalable. So with that, you will be able to quickly understand the impact of the risk and the exposure. And then we'll come to the finished intel. Well, this is what we call the Fusion subscription. So with that subscription, we take the cyber threat intel to the next level. We will combine all other benefits of the digital threat monitoring or the vulnerability assessment and the security operation subscriptions, plus gaining a deeper understanding of the threat actors with Mandiant incident response intelligence, technical research findings, dark web research, and telemetry analysis. So in this slide, we're going to discuss how do we consume the intelligence by organizations. So one of the ways that we are going to consume the intelligence by the organization is using a machine-to-machine organization, where all the rich and actionable intelligence will be injected into SOC platforms and workflows. This can be using a direct integration or APIs. Threat intelligence can be ingested to your SIEM, to your TEP, or to your SOAR. The other way to consume the intelligence is going to be by providing a SOC analyst with access to our threat intel portal to track the latest evolving threats, the latest evolving actors, and the malware families. So SOC analysts will have access to your to this portal in order to track all of that. Plus, your team will have access to our intel analyst on the top of the access, which is the case for our portal. So you will have access to our intel analyst and our researchers over collaboration platforms, such as we can see here, Team or Slack. Your team will get more and more details and more contextual view of the alerts and the queries that they are looking to achieve. Over to you, Mohammed.
Yes, thanks a lot, Noah, for such information. So by now we came to know how rich and actionable Mandiant Advantage threat intel is. But the question actually that comes to many people is how they can utilize this knowledge and visibility in a way to assess and validate how effective are their cybersecurity controls. Is also another question that how we can or how we need to have that visibility on the latest threats and able to tell if we are ready today or even now to defend our enterprise against the latest security attacks and threat actors. So You may know that the last year, FireEye has acquired the validation actually, or the Viridin solution. And just recently, we have rebranded the Viridin security instrumentation platform to the Mandiant security validation. This technology is now part of a set of offering under Mandiant Solutions. We will show you how to weaponize threat intel to validate organization security controls. So FireEye has recently published an annual report, which is our 2020 security effectiveness report, which is based on Viridin, which is now called the Mandiant validation. Some of the published statistics are that 59% of organizations that our validation team has been supporting aren't actually seeing attacks in their environments, which is the most shocking one, of course, is that only 9% of the alerts on average are shown on their SIM. This is a huge impact on the risk posture of an organization, lack of awareness, and especially lack of response to attacks. There are a lot of customers that really aren't aware of how bad it is in their environment. They assume things are working where it really isn't. These problems experienced by all organizations that we engage with. This is about misconfiguration of tools and broken process. We think we are in a great position to help organizations fix these problems by using Mandiant validation tool. So the issue is that in most cases, our cybersecurity model is based on many assumptions. The first assumption is many of us assume that different technologies are performing as their manufacturers claim, but glitches happen and also features sometimes fail. The next one is we assume that the security tools are deployed correctly, but in most cases, best practices are not followed 100%. Then, even our teams, sometimes we assume that they have visibility on everything happening as their skills are matching the threat actors. However, they are not unlike threat actors. They don't have free time and investment to uplift their capabilities. Finally, in addition to all of this, many organizations don't anticipate correctly the effect of daily security operations in changing the configuration of their security tools. All right, so as a person concerned with any aspect of cybersecurity, your mission is challenged in most cases by a broken formula that limits our ability to measure effectiveness or assessing people, process, and tools performance via quantifiable metrics. We keep spending on security tools and investing in security teams, but at the end, how can you measure or evaluate the holistic security effectiveness of the organization against threats that concerns you the most? So as a security validator, you must have three major capabilities. First, adversary expertise and intelligence to know about different malicious TTPs, to know more about threat actors and their advanced tactics, or to have access to real-world attacks. Second and third pillars are related to the validation platform itself, which it needs to have automation and openness to operate effectively. The validation process needs to provide actionable results and to be a business enabler to achieve organizational goals. Mandiant security validation, basically, its core business value to strengthen, of course, it's strengthened by our approach of leveraging intelligence-led content with our robust technology-enabled platform, provide automated outcomes related to overall measured effectiveness and improved security posture. So, how are we doing this? Our intelligence knowledge is enriching our validating platform to be able to initiate real-world attacks and tactics. It's actually an emulation, not a simulation, which within your environment, and to be able to get results back from the implemented security tools on how are they performing in stopping such attacks, whether your SIM is correlating the attacks or not. All of this to correctly measure the security effectiveness along with the holistic security posture of the organization in a continuous process over time. So, first, customers select attacks and TTPs relevant to their organization and industry. Then, to run scenarios between actors and pass through the security stack. After that, assess results on detection, protection, and SIM correlation. Finally, improve capabilities, rationalize, and adapt. All of this in a process of continuous validation with the option to alert the customer of any drift from the results that they have baselined their defense opponents. So Mandiant security validation technology help customers to understand their security program and how well it is working now and how much better it could be working in the future. So we assist with building a program that we roll out with our security validation platform, and we do this in 4 stages. Number one is the first one is to measure. Basically, to get a baseline, measure and capture evidence that your security controls are actually effective. And by the way, those are effective against real attacks. Since we have that view of the threat landscape, we are able to go in and put those attacks basically right into our security validation products, so that you can go and measure how well your defense would respond to those attacks. Number two, from there, you can go and optimize your controls. You might find when you measure that baseline that you're really vulnerable against exfiltration tactics, for example, that allows you to go and focus on the security controls that might need to be optimized to make those more effective. For example, you could find also, as an example, that maybe your SIM is like a lot of other customers that we have seen, and they are not getting the alerts there, and so you need to go and configure your security control to ensure that the alerts are getting up into the SIM and getting correlated and referring to your team. From there, we'll go to step number 3. We see a lot of customers really focused on rationalizing the investment they are making. This kind of twofold. First, actually being able to demonstrate to your leadership that the investment you are making are smart, that they are wise, that they are helping you broadly to protect yourself against the threats landscape. But also, it will allow you to look for overlapping controls. Finally, once you get all of your environment optimized, you are going to want to monitor and maintain that. One of the key facts of our platform is the fact that it runs continuously. This isn't a point-time system. This is a build all this up, get your program optimized, and then over time, just continue to watch that and get alerted when of course you have divisions in your security defense platform performance. I will leave you now with my colleague Noah, who shall provide you with detailed information about the validation architecture and how it works. Go ahead, Noah, please.
Thank you a lot, Mohammed, for the great introduction. That really makes sense. So yes, Mandiant Security Validation Platform consists of 2 main components, the director and the actors. So the director, you can just consider it as the central management console. This is a user interface. This is where all configurations are stored. This is also where our behavior library lives. This is also the point where the integration is happening with your security stack. So these integrations are read-only and are done via vendor-owned APIs. So we can pull the data back to provide visibility on what's really going on as we are executing these behaviors and actions into your security stack. The second component, as we can see here, are the actors. So we have network actors, as we can see here. So we can validate your network security defenses, like your network DLP, your proxies, or your firewalls. We have the endpoint actor, where we can validate your endpoint security platforms, as well as understanding what would happen if you were running, for example, host CLIs or running a ransomware on your endpoints. We also have the email actor to understand the abilities for your email security defenses, like if you have an email DLP to keep your good stuff in, or for example, if you have a protective email control to keep your bad stuff out. We also have the ability to deploy actors in the cloud. So as customers move into the cloud nowadays, they need to be able to provide evidence around the security effectiveness of those controls in the cloud. And they definitely want to make sure that they are just secure in the cloud as they were on-prem. So the goal out of all this is what we refer, and what my colleague Mohammed just referred to it as, the effectiveness validation process. So we want basically to understand, as we are conducting the tests and the attacks, did we see this attack? Did we have a proper segmentation to have a pinch point where we could have prevented that attack or not? Whether we prevented it or not, did we see it at first? Did we have the detection? Did we understand that there was an attack going on or not? And out of all of this, did we have a proper event flow into our SIEM? So we can eventually generate a meaningful alert to our SOC analyst that he can triage at the end. So why we are focusing on the alert is that because eventually, if we get those alerts, if we're making sure that we're getting those alerts, then at that point in time, we can also take our validation to the next level and validate our people and validate our processes in addition to the technology. So Mandiant security validation will give the ability to do all of this with control-specific recommendations. Because of our integrations, we can definitely provide a very clear visibility into what your technology saw, how it could have been tuned to move from a detection to prevention, for example. We provide full visibility into your technologies, as well as full visibility across the entire cyber kill chain. So it is not just about a binary answer. It is not just about post-exploitation. We do understand the entire life cycle of the attack. So out of this, we can definitely, at the end, get to a point where we can assess and we can optimize. And as my colleague Mohammed mentioned, we can rationalize and definitely monitor. So how do we do that? How do we conduct that? So this slide, we will take a look. For example, any customer will have networks, and every network has its own different zones, and across the different zones, we can have a different segmentation boundaries. So Mandiant security validation, with this platform, we can deploy actors in each and every zone, as we can see here. Okay, so those actors will either play the role of the attacker and the target. So, for example, we can place the attacker outside your network in the internet zone, and we can place the target here anywhere inside your security zones. Okay, so in this case, we're actually looking to test your security controls outside in, but it definitely can be inside out. It definitely can be east-west. Any pair of actors can work together to test your controls. What happens is that these actors will attack each other. So in this case, Mandiant security validation is attacking itself. So having this architecture where we're attacking ourselves will provide testing for your production control without risking your production assets. So this is definitely critical to your overall infrastructure because these agents are not on your servers. Those agents are our virtual appliances deployed inside different network segments so we can leverage a real attack binaries, we can test a real malicious files, we can test a real attacks the same way that the attackers would do without definitely the need to place actors everywhere or in every endpoints. So Mohammed just said critical things about the cybersecurity success criteria. So it is definitely not quantifiable as of today. It's heavily based on assumptions, not on a quantifiable metric. So with this platform, you will definitely get to a point where you can provide a quantifiable evidence on how effective are your cybersecurity controls. We can also map to a worldwide attack frameworks to help match how effective are your control against the latest techniques, tactics, and procedures introduced in those frameworks. We can also help to measure how effective are your cybersecurity controls against the latest threat actors, the latest malware families as well. So once you log into Mandiant Security Validation, you will be basically taken into what we call the environment map. This map will represents the security zones and the communication between them. So as we see here, white circles are representing your security zones. The black and white circles are representing the actors within those zones. So once the communication starts between the actors, the communication lines will be drawn between those zones as we can see here. So eventually, the more lines will be drawn between different zones, you will eventually get to represent the whole environment map for you. Now, this will definitely help which zones are expected or should be communicating to which zones. For example, are you expecting, Mr. Customer, that your South Enterprise users are communicating with Enterprise Desktop users? So you can definitely validate this expectation against your desired requirements. One critical things, as we said, we're mapping your enterprise to the latest techniques and tactics and the procedures that are used in worldwide attack frameworks, which is one of the famous ones, MITRE attack. So we're mapped into all tactics of MITRE as well as all underlying techniques. So you can see here techniques, tactics are heavily presented. You can test your defenses against any time you want, anytime you need, and you can see how effective are your security controls in responding specifically to those attacks. So now we're getting to the use cases, which is also really critical. So this platform is there to help address the pain points of each and every security team. For senior executives, apparently they will be concerned about getting the appropriate return of investments made against the security controls. Do we have an overlap in the cybersecurity stack so we can just remove it and reinvest where in areas where I have gaps to be covered? So this platform is definitely critical to answer these questions. This platform is also there to help the risk and vulnerability management teams when they need to validate the POM findings to reduce the severity of their controls. Change control team will also be interested in this platform because this platform will help them validate if the security controls are working as expected before and after a regular operational change. Red team will find this platform very much useful as well because they are looking to address their objective in initiating campaigns between APT and Think groups against their security stack. Security engineer team, they will have their own concerns as well. And their concerns will be addressed in this platform. For example, they will be looking to answer, are all the security technologies are working in a full capabilities? Are they detecting? Are they blocking? Are they reporting the attacks back to the SIM? Does the SIM correlation rules work properly? Blue team concerns are also heavily addressed using the same platform. Like, how can I get best use out of Intel? Am I safe after working from home? How do I know that my people are skilled? So these are the critical use cases that I'm really addressing here heavily across different security teams. As we said, it will ring the bell and will address the pain points for each and every security team. Over to you, Mohammed.
Great, Noah. Thanks a lot for the excellent summary to the different use cases that our customers can use in the Mandiant Security Validation Tool. I hope now it's clear how the validation solution works. Also, hopefully, it's clear how intelligence can be weaponized to validate security controls as well as to measure its effectiveness. Now, we will move to our final topic of the day, which is the managed defense. As to close the circle, we will talk about the third pillar, which is people, and how managed defense can help customers in their threat hunting and incidents. So one of the things we have noticed that the attackers always tend to come back. 85% of our incidents response to the clients that we see, 85% of those have already an existing managed services and security provider, MSSP. 49% of the attacked customers were attacked again within a year. This creates a challenge that our customers keep facing, such as the impact of breaches, as well as the incident time to resolution. As you know, the impact of a breach can be costly in time, resources, and financially as well. So today, attackers can do more in more diverse environments. For example, detection time remains untenable for most businesses. Often, the technology stack is not able to detect advanced attackers, and without proactive threat hunting, these attackers go unnoticed. Continued vigilance is required to prevent retargeting. It is difficult and costly to find higher return security experts and train them, of course. Technology alone cannot fully protect against determined, persistent attackers. Human expertise complements technology to offer flexibility, ingenuity, and focus, especially against advanced multi-stage attacks and for response-related activity. Security teams need a trusted partner to monitor their network 24/7 with a proactive, analyst-driven approaches with the latest threat intelligence from the front line of incident response. Therefore, more organizations are turning to managed detection and response, which is called MDR services, or what we call it in FireEye, managed defense. So managed defense complements the customer's MSSP and internal SOC teams. Managed defense provides capabilities and specialized skills not typically available with the in-house SOC teams or managed security service providers, the MSSPs. Usually, MSSP is focused on event monitoring and alerting remote device management. Alert validation helps reduce false positive, but provides limited investigation capabilities. limited responses, and containment capabilities. While the managed detection and response offers advanced threat protection, proactive threat hunting across all threat vectors, logs, networks, email, and endpoints, incident scoping, rapid response, and remote containment, dedicated cybersecurity expert advising the customer's team. And the Mandiant Managed Defense from FireEye has both expertise and depth offering, so we can provide the customers with advanced threat research, malware reverse engineering, forensic analysis, and finally, easy connection to full Mandiant IR when needed. So, Managed Defense leverages all of Mandiant and FireEye services and technologies. Managed Defense leverages the knowledge and experts from Mandiant Threat Intelligence with adversary, victim, machine, and campaign threat intelligence. Further, Managed Defense is backed by multiple Mandiant teams conducting advanced threat hunting, malware reverse engineering, and forensics teams. What this means that the whole organization focuses on hunting across all threat vectors, and various teams are constantly researching and testing new hunting methodologies. Then, Managed Defense is a full service MDR, which means we provide expertise-driven hunting across all threat vectors on the endpoint, across the network, in email, logs, and in the cloud, definitely. There is a distinction between a managed endpoint detection and response, or managed EDR services, and a full MDR. Managed EDR is a subset of MDR and focuses on endpoints, also known as hosts. FireEye solution covers all threat vectors, which provides for greater protection and more thorough response. Then, Managed Defense provides intelligence-led detection, focusing on what is undetectable by the security tech stack. We proactively search for covert signs of an active attempted compromise, leveraging our experience gained with continuous exposure to attacker behavior, tactics, and targets. Managed Defense analysts are able to identify emerging threats and campaigns which may impact customers broadly or in a particular industry or region. The result is a team of experts that identify critical threats and prevent incidents. This is a proactive threat hunting, actually. Then, Managed Defense also provides experience-driven response that rapidly scopes the extent and implications of an incident to reduce the cost and impact. The average Managed Defense response time is 2 hours. Once enacted, rapid response is a set of actions that quickly contains the incident, disrupting the attack chain. Managed Defense offers remediation recommendations and contains impacted hosts as necessary. Remediation is thorough and mitigates the likelihood that the attackers return or maintain access while meeting the regulatory breach notification requirements. Finally, unlike competitive MDR services, Managed Defense places a dedicated security advisor with each customer. The Managed Defense consultant is not only a security advisor to the customer, but an expert security consultant. With the support of Managed Defense, the customer is able to become a trusted advisor and extension of the customer own team. All Managed Defense customers have access to Mandiant Threat Intelligence and can make better decisions about how to respond and protect their assets. So, FireEye Managed Defense is a detection and response service that leverages unequaled cybersecurity expertise, FireEye technologies, and unmatched knowledge of attackers to identify threats early and reduce the consequences of a breach. FireEye Managed Defense starts with in-depth knowledge of the attacker, continuously evolve hunt scenarios to detect evolving attackers' tools, techniques, and procedures, proactively and systematically hunt for covert evidence of compromise within customers' environment, provides answers, not alerts, to determine the scope of the attack. Basically, it reveals who, what, when, and how, provides evidence displayed via attacker kill chain, agile and guided investigation tools, perform deep forensic analysis when needed, such as malware analysis. So equipped with by threat intelligence, this is how we do it. First, using a proactive hunting to mitigate the risk an attacker going undetected for an extended period of time, exposing intellectual property, sensitive customer data, or financial resources. Then by campaign response, by leveraging FireEye unique vantage point to identify emerging threats and campaigns which may impact customers broadly or in a particular industry or region. Finally, identify and validate priority alerts to cut through the noise of the alert canon to focus on the most impactful threats, saving SOC team time and efforts. So this is how we do it using our experience-driven response. First, full incident scoping to ensure response efforts are appropriate to the situation and to avoid inadvertent destruction of critical evidence or wasted cycles. Rapid response, in most cases, avoid the added cost of on-site IR by acting quickly and contain impact. Finally, remediation and containment to ensure thorough remediation and mitigate likelihood that attacker return or maintain access while meeting regulatory breach notification requirements. Now, my colleague Noah will be explaining the components of the managed defense and how it works in more details. Noah, can you please go ahead?
Sure, Mohammed, thanks a lot. So here in this slide, we're presenting what is needed from the technology perspective to be available within the customer environment. So to get a quick brief about the security controls that FireEye has, we are basically having network security APT solution, we call it the NX. We have email APT solution, we call it EX. And of course, we have our EDR and EPP solution, the HX. So ideally, we get most outcomes of the managed defense sweeping and threat hunting services. In order to do that, we need to have the best tools installed within the customer environment. So I'm giving you just an example of those tools. We can have FireEye endpoint security, FireEye network security, email security, or a Helix logging platform. So the minimum tools needed from our side to our managed defense team to operate is at minimum, the customer needs to have either a network security sandboxing solution or our endpoint detection and response solution, the HX, installed within the customer environment. So as we mentioned at the beginning of those slides, we aim for Mandiant Advantage to be vendor agnostic. So within this context, and because of we're aiming to that objective, where we have already introduced recently Microsoft Endpoint Security, ATP, to the list of the supported tools used by our Mandiant Managed Defense team and offering. So FireEye Managed Defense is basically a managed detection and response service, as my colleague Mohammed just mentioned. And this service will leverage full power of FireEye. Alerts, as we see here on the screen, will be ingested into managed defense engine based on FireEye technologies that are deployed within the customer environment. So once ingested, the managed defense engine will automate the prioritization of those alerts and will assign a severity rating. So this will, as you know, will help our analysts to identify which alerts need to be investigated further. Low priority alerts, of course, are saved and utilized for hunting services or hunting exercises later on. High priority alerts are logged by our analysts to assess the validity and to determine the scope. At that point in time, the analyst will assign the severity and will determine if further investigation is needed. If it's not needed, an investigation report will be written and shared with the customer. It will have the detailed findings and recommendation. If it's of course needed, additional resources can be engaged for further investigation if needed, of course. So the main outcomes that we get from our managed defense platform is that the customer team will have access to our intelligence. This will be definitely critical to make better decisions about how to respond and how to protect your assets with access to FireEye threat intelligence that is, as we all know, it's a leader and it is unmatched. Access to expertise. With that, you will extend your team with a threat assessment manager, for example, from FireEye, who will serve as your main security advisor. He will definitely gain access to hundreds of FireEye experts by using access to our expertise. So managed defense is more than a frontline analyst. We're talking about hunters. We're talking about threat assessment managers, incident responders, researchers, all of whom are supported by teams of expert support groups, technical best practices, and operational processes that are helping you and helping us to scale in a way that our customers will need it most. So a very reasonable questions will come to your mind. How fast can our response really be? So let me just walk you through a real story of our service in action that was basically for a customer in the financial space, and they have some very, very critical and sensitive data. So this is the timeline. So they trusted FireEye to protect them, and they had used Mandiant a number of times. They are active managed defense customer with endpoint security and network security. So the attacker, as we see here, 9:03 a.m., exploited a web application vulnerability on an external facing web server. He dropped some tools, started moving laterally throughout the environment. So the attacker have leveraged a commonly available pen testing tool while moving throughout the environment. At that point in time, we got an endpoint security alert on a use of Cobalt Strike under 2 hours from the initial exploitation, as we can see here from the timeline. So a managed defense triage alert validates that this is a true positive, and we contacted the customer immediately in an hour later, and the customer assures the managed defense team that this is a legitimate pen testing activity. But our tour team and our tour researchers, they have reinvestigate that, and they have researched an activity and links it to an active campaign that have impacted another FireEye client. The managed defense team continues performing the investigation and the activity and convinces the customer that this was an active attacker situation. At that point in time, of course, the customer had no option but to engage our Mandiant team to assist in this situation. Our Mandiant team, at that point in time, they were able to contain the attacker 100%. The attacker was contained, was eradicated from the environment in less than 3 hours 30 minutes from the initial alert. So as we can see here, no impactful customer activity. No customer executives needs to be involved in this incident. This was an expected win from FireEye, and that's why honestly customers will choose us. As we see here, 3 hours 36 minutes total time. So this is, I just gave you a real life example for how long will it take before or how fast is our response will be from a real story that we had recently in the financial space. So I'm just giving you over, Mohammed.
Thanks, Noah. Great stuff. Thanks for that. So finally, just to wrap up our presentation, as you have seen, and as we have told you, managed defense is part of our Advantage family. We have talked today about the threat intelligence part of Advantage as well. In the technology under Advantage, we have covered also and presented to you the Mandiant security validation. The other part of the technology which we didn't cover today is the automated defense, which is a newly added member to Advantage, which is basically our XDR solution or Respond. Also in the expertise and services, we have covered the managed defense, and we just talked about that now. The other one under the expertise and services is the managed validation, where you can take our Mandiant security validation that we talked about in a managed offering by our experts. So hope we were able today to explain more about our Mandiant solutions, or as we say, we call it Advantage by Mandiant. We thank you for your time and attending our session. If you have any question or if you have an interest to try any of our products, please do not hesitate to contact us, and we will be more than happy to connect with you. Thank you, and wish everyone a great day. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.